All right, let's try this again. So I want to introduce my project to you today, my senior capstone. And I first want to start and thank everyone here for attending our senior capstones, faculty, students, family, and friends. We truly appreciate your support. Being a student at Mount Mary, and specifically in the Interior Architecture and Design program, we are taught to look past oneself and put the ego aside and design using a humanistic and holistic approach to solve problems in the built environment. I want to introduce myself. My name is Bonnie Furs, and I'm a senior in the Interior Architecture and Design program here at Mount Mary. I will be the first senior to be receiving her 2-year post-baccalaureate degree in this program. I came to Mount Mary 2 years ago with my undergraduate degree at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee in business administration. After graduation at UW-Milwaukee, I started working for a residential design firm in the business capacity, working with clients and client relationships and handling orders and invoices. And through my experience at that residential firm, I fell in love with design and knew that it was something that I wanted to pursue academically. So today's topic is going to focus on mental health, particularly mental health illness, and how undiagnosed or mistreated mental health or mental illness can lead to crisis escalation. So unfortunately, in our institutions, even in our educational institutions, our workplace institutions, and our home life, mental health is often not the priority. Unfortunately, this leads to a system that doesn't work for everyone. Mental health illness is a sliding scale, and there's not a one-fits-all solution for addressing this. So particularly why I wanted to pursue this topic was mental health is something that's personally afflicted my life. And when you think about mental health in your own life, it's something that's affected probably someone you know and might even be you as well. So looking specifically at Wisconsin, 817,000 adults in Wisconsin have a mental health condition. That's about 3 times the size of the city of Madison. 50% of mental health illness begins by age 14. And what's really alarming is that by age 24, it's up to 75%. So this shows that people aren't handling or taking care of their mental health, or they simply don't know the resources that they have available to them. Additionally, 2 million people with mental illness are booked into jails every year because they don't get the treatment that they need. And 4 in 10, so less than half of people in Wisconsin with a mental health condition have received any treatment in the past year. And a big reason for these statistics is the stigma surrounding mental health. Often when people are put into a mental health crisis, they're made to feel that what they're experiencing is wrong. I'm here to debunk that and say that that is not the case, and people should feel comfortable accessing the resources that they need. So when mental illness goes undiagnosed, this can lead to a mental health crisis. So a mental health crisis is a situation in which a person's thoughts, emotions, and behaviors can put them in jeopardy of harming themselves or others and put them at risk of being unable to take care of themselves or have access to food, clothing, and shelter. So a mental health crisis can really surface anywhere. These are people that you work with. These are people that you're friends and family with. It happens to everyone. So the current options are not effective. Like I said, mental illness is a sliding scale, and there are people who do need the benefits of a psychiatric institution. But then there are people that sort of fall like in the middle line. And where do those people go to, or who do they call when they need help? In terms of mental illness when a police officer intervenes in a mental illness. Unfortunately, these officers are just not trained in how to de-escalate a mental health situation, and that can really be harmful for the person who is reaching out. Additionally, too, institution isn't always a great option for people because, like I said, there's a sliding scale. And so institutions can often make people feel like they're imprisoned or their freedoms are being removed. Often there's a limited number of days that you are required to stay within the facility, or hospitalization is the other option. And so all of these options are not effective for everyone, and hospitalization and institution can cost someone thousands of dollars in order to get that help they need. And so I'm here to propose a method that would be affordable for everyone. So why are we talking about this? Why is this important? Not addressing mental health conditions, it extends to adulthood, as you could see in those statistics in Wisconsin, and it impairs physical and mental health, and it limits the opportunities to lead fulfilling lives, which is what we're all here to do, right? And so states have come up with solutions that seem to be really effective and that seem to be working. A lot of these are grassroots operations called crisis resource centers. Currently, Milwaukee has 2 crisis resource centers, and there is a need and demand for more. And these crisis resource centers are sort of these grassroots locations that don't have a lot of resources or budget allocated to building them up. And they have to often turn people away because they don't have enough beds or occupancy to take them in. So CRCs or community or crisis resource centers are a community-based alternative with community at its center that are 24/7, and they're an alternative to an emergency room or inpatient hospitalization. So do they work? Statistically, yes. And these studies are pulled from the Wisconsin CRCs that are in effect. And so 34% of clients that were self-referred to the center indicate they seek support before experiencing a mental health crisis, which is a great preventative measure to see here. And clients report a 50% decrease in mental health symptoms from admission to discharge. Clients are 40% less likely to be admitted to an emergency room or hospital after their stays. And a depression screening shows the average level of depression in clients upon admission is moderately severe. Upon discharge, it's relatively mild. So my design proposal for you today as part of my senior capstone presentation is KEY. KEY is a 24/7 crisis resource center that's designed to bridge the gap between mental health care and provide a holistic approach to mental health. And a little bit about the branding for KEY. KEY is abbreviated from Milwaukee, and symbolically it functions someone handing you over a key to come into a place that you feel safe and that you can relax and regain again. So more specifically, KEY is a 24/7 crisis resource center that's organized to enable adults to gain control. It provides temporary housing and supportive services to individuals over the age of 18. And our core values are compassion, community focus, empowering individuals, and giving everyone access to service. So who is my client and who will be utilizing this space? So the client is the Milwaukee Center for Independence and its affiliate, the Whole Health Center Group. I chose these people this group as my client because they already have 2 crisis centers in the Milwaukee area, and I'd love to get them on board with this idea. The funding would be provided by U.S. Department of Health and Services, and it's also supported by a larger organization of the Milwaukee County Behavioral Health Division and Milwaukee Healthcare Partnership, who are committed to connecting people in a mental health crisis to life-saving resources. In terms of my end user who will be occupying the space, the term that I coined for members who are a part of the facility are called key holders. I didn't want to assimilate a name like patient or client to feel institutional. You're a key holder and you are a member of our community here. You must be 18 plus years older of age, and you must be seeking help on a voluntary basis. You must be a Milwaukee County resident and have the ability for independent self-care. So as you can see, these are sort of people that fall right in the middle. You must be experiencing psychiatric symptoms or have been diagnosed with mental illness, and you would benefit from a short-term crisis intervention and show no evidence of serious or uncontrolled medical problems. So what do we offer at Key? We offer a mobile crisis assessment team that is provided through our telehealth. We also have check-in option available, emergency sheltering. Currently, the city of Milwaukee has under 22 beds that offer this emergency sheltering, so there is a huge demand. We also offer mental health services and crisis counseling. We take a holistic wellness approach, so treating people or helping people from through the entire process and not just putting a Band-Aid on the issue. We offer drop-in services and advocacy resources. So let's focus on the site. The site itself is centrally located on the fringe of Walker's Point. It's in an area that's in desperate need of adaptive reuse. And it's also adjacent to a structure that could potentially be remodeled or brought on as a part of Key's offering. So that could be assisted or temporary housing down the line. And so there is a great opportunity for this space. Here are some images of the space. And then upon visiting the site, I contacted the building group and they sent me over some existing CAD plans. And so these illustrate the first and second floor. The floor plan you see here is the first floor, and right here is this is the first floor and this is the second floor. And so when I first saw this space, I was really attracted to its architectural features. It had that cream city brick that Milwaukee is historically known for. It has this core green space that's being underutilized. And so when I saw this space, I instantly knew that it was going to be what I wanted to use for my project. I really saw an opportunity here to connect the second floor structures. And so this project was not only an interior struggle for me, this was also an architectural undertaking. And so a big important factor to me was to make this an ADA accessible facility. And so I wanted to include an elevator as well. So designing that in mind was right off the bat, I gave myself a hard task, but once I started going, it's something that I truly felt passionate about. And so if you're not all familiar, the inspiration that led to the bridge of the upper level is the Hone Bridge in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And looking at the codes for this particular building, it falls under the IBC as an R4 code. And so that means for my purposes of planning, I needed to be able to, I could have under 10 people sleeping here temporarily. So then once I had identified my coding and taken into consideration the site and the building, I moved into the design process, which for us as designers begins with our bubbles. Most of you know and love and hate these, but they are an important critical part of getting the process going. And when I look at mental health, there's so many things to tackle with mental health. And so when I was first generating all of my ideas, there was just too much going on. And so I really had to pull back and look at it from a macro scale and just understand what are the key components and key features that need to be included in my building. And so this iteration you're seeing is probably my 15th or 20th. So this is the one that I landed on, and I proceeded forward with creating a floor plan based on this. Some design considerations when designing for trauma-informed care is being able, you have to address crisis through the built environment, right? So you need to consider dignity and self-esteem of the key holders, and that affects your color and lighting placement. Empowerment and personal control. People need access, or people want to feel like they're in control. So have access to basic human needs like water bottle stations are a simple design solution for that. Security, privacy, and personal space. And you can do this through protected back seating environments, stress management and coping, so that core courtyard promotes that sense of calm and refuge. And that's one of the first spaces that a key holder is going to come into and feel instantly comforted by where they are. A sense of community is critical for the success of an environment like this. And that includes waiting and hangout spots. And then beauty and meaning. Looking at the city of Milwaukee, there is so much to see and look at and connect that to in this building. Like, I want the members of this community to fall in love with their city again and look at the architectural beauty of it and draw that into the space. And other ways you can incorporate beauty and meaning is through wayfinding and sightline features. You'll notice throughout my space that I've utilized several methods of wayfinding and different sightline and focal features. So moving forward, this is another way that I start to get excited about a project and really generate ideas for the final product, right? So I loved this initial image of the bridge. It really captured what I was trying to do within my building. It is lacking an elevator, but I did, like, no inspiration image is always perfect. You always have to create from that point. And then in the center is sort of the feel of the courtyard that I wanted to have. And then really just focusing on community. How can all of these spaces connect? And you can feel like you're a part of something bigger. And then comfortable and flexible seating and light are also important. So let's move into my floor plan. So whether you're entering through mobile dispatch or you're self-checking in, you will meet in this reception atrium area where you're then directed into intake. Intake will either take you up the stairs or through the doorway, or through the doorway up through the elevator. And then once you're in the elevator, you are then directed into the downtown or Bayview Lounge, where you are then to meet with your individual counselor. Additionally, within this space is a phone zone and a resource center for people who want to access those things, as well as restrooms, a peer group area, and an art therapy. And then over the bridge is where you'll be in your residential area of the space. So there'll be full bathrooms, a lounge, and then suites to accommodate individuals and pairs, and as well as incorporating an ADA suite. Another critical aspect was to include storage and security. So lockers are also included in the space. And then you'll be redirected back down the stairs where you will be shown the kitchen and dining area, as well as the media lounge. And then there's a yoga and wellness studio, additional bathrooms, and then a staff lounge, staff area. So in terms of egress of this plan, I had to really think this through because of the addition of that core component. And so it's also important that there's a flow to where these people are going within the space. And especially when you're coming from a crisis, if you're already lost and confused of where you are, that's not going to help anything at all. And so when I was designing the egress paths within here, I took that all into consideration. And so, like I mentioned, there's an elevator for ADA access, but then there's also points of egress to the back of the building. And so now I just want to introduce to you my materials and finishes that I used within this space. All of the color selections are meant to evoke feelings of calm and safety, but also make you feel inspired and happy and comforted. And I also utilized the Cream City brick within the space, acoustical panels, as well as rubber and carpet tile flooring. And then let's introduce you now into the bridge space. So you'll take the elevator up here, and then this is the bridge that connects that residential and the counseling spaces. And over in this area is the waiting lounge. Looking at this is a better view of the downtown lounge where an individual would wait to meet with their counselor. Utilized within this space is a acoustical mural or decal, and all of the furnishings are used with commercial grade upholstery. And then the flooring is created with to create wayfinding and uses rubber. Additionally, I added window treatments for light filtering and lots of windows for daylighting. Here is another perspective of the downtown lounge. Here is a perspective of the art therapy room. Art therapy is a technique that's rooted in the idea that creative expression can foster healing and mental well-being. And so within this space, I wanted to include furniture that could be configured in multiple ways. So there's a flexibility of use. There is also a variety of seating, and it serves as sort of that focal point of the space. Moving over into the residential area is the Walker's Point Lounge, and that's at the center of the suites. And so going back to community, that's the place where everyone is drawn to in the center. And there are these privacy walls that are implemented to evoke feelings of biophilia, but also to separate the space. Looking at the individual counseling room, you have acoustical walls or acoustical wall features, as well as lighting or layered lighting throughout the space. Here is another perspective. Looking into the Bayview Lounge, I incorporated city scenes and art in the artwork, as well as delineated the separate spaces for the resource and phone zone, and then created a separate area for the lounge. Here is another perspective of the phone zone and resource room. And then over in the residential side, there is a calm dome, which users can get that feeling of prospect and refuge and feel like they have somewhere to go when they are wanting to be alone, but also around everyone. Here's a perspective of the residential area. Each room is coded with a color as well as a key decal. And there is a whiteboard schedule outside of each room for people to write on their own schedule, what they have to do within their days. Here is a perspective in the Walker's Point Lounge looking on into the bathrooms. Again, I incorporated water stations to give that feeling of caring for your own basic needs. And then here is a look into the junior suite. This is a single suite, which it provides a sound system as well as a tablet to put on soothing sounds at night. Additionally, there's plant features in here, and then very minimal decor. Here's the final perspective. And so I just want to thank you for listening to my presentation today. This project is something that could be expounded upon forever, and it's something I've poured my heart into, and it's something that I'm extremely passionate about, and I would love to continue to see where it would go. And I would also like to thank all of my friends that came here today. I always appreciate your support. My faculty members who have been a critical part of my success here at Mount Mary, and my fiance who knows what it's been like because I've been up late in the middle of the night working on this. And I just appreciate all of you so much, and thank you again for everything.
Your passion for the whole mental health community. Spent a lot of time discussing. And so there's that anticipation go up. What is she going to do? What's her so I love the fact that your whole design is very modern, but very mature. You can come in there, it's not going to be like not sterile. They're not in a hospital environment, and they're not in the juvenile space. And I think that is just thought that from there from that your colors and your finishes are consistent all the way through. So that's got to offer some security and calming people. And the residential space, right? So they're not personal, but yeah, it's very calming. You know, it's not like
Yeah.
the things we and you said something about iteration, like apologize because that's so many apologize. Don't do but so good. On the way. We all think we have the best. And so I think that, you know, you should be proud of doing that. And I think very vested in this.
I know. Okay, the next time.
You spoke without, like, on the particular slide showing the three options, you know, institutional, hospitalization. Do you have some words up there still that base in that? And street. And talk about, as you did on that slide, so that I can. And so even though it's, and I've done it myself, it's fake. I have all the words up there because God knows you're going to get it. It's also a demonstration of
Thank you.
Unbelievably really feel like out of anything in reference to try very hard to put that back. However, at the same time, a lot of them are like lockups or lockdowns. Security is huge, safety homes, some places in places, how did you think about that? How did you think about
So I did implement a lot of design elements within the space that I took from my research of psychiatric facilities and institutions. So like limiting mirrors, making sure that doors that mental health professionals can come in and out of doors, as well as the security aspect of that. But I wanted it to feel like an open door policy and not an institution where people they're going to have that monitor, they're going to be monitored by the professionals that are there because they will be there 24/7. But I wanted them to have the freedom and flexibility that I feel like an institution doesn't give you. And so that was kind of the meaning behind that. Does that answer your question? Okay.
again, there's all levels of these kinds of institutions. Ones that are at the most extreme require things that they have just been beyond the edge of the scope of what
Mhm.
I don't criticize them all.
Okay. Okay. Katie. Thank you, Katie. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Ooh, now I can go to sleep.
If you haven't already, make sure you do the phone to action. It's getting into shortly. You guys are
Thank you.